Becoming the anomaly. We can tell those who stand out from the crowd. We can tell those who look different, who act different, who think different than the 95% or 99% of people. How do you become an anomaly? Is it even worth pursuing? And what does it even consist of? Truth is, it's almost a title that people just give you because you kind of stand out from the rest of the crowd. And that's not a bad thing. It is what it is, right? And I feel like there is a lot of anomalies on planet Earth in terms of physical development. They stand out from the rest of the people. And unfortunately, it would have probably not been the case so much a couple years ago or a few decades ago when people were more fit and healthier, right? And the baseline of an average person was a lot better than it currently is today. So in my opinion, we do need more anomalies, right? We need to start representing, showing what it's like to live different, to think different, to behave different, to not succumb to the same temptations that the 90% of people fall into. Praise of the system, sloths, lazy, overweight, gluttony. But all of that is not only perpetuated by people's bad decisions. It's also perpetuated by bad habits that have compounded over long periods of time, and some things that perhaps you didn't even know were intrinsically destroying your system, your gut microbiome, your nervous system. Things like artificial food, right? Things that we call food that is not food. It's just a bunch of chemicals that make you more addicted and disrupt the gut. And then things like foreign technology, 5G, Wi-Fi, blue light, all of these things, right, potentiate all of the bad habits that we tend to succumb to, right? And I understand, I get it. In fact, I was overweight as well. I was depressed, I was suicidal, and I feel like there's ebbs and flows, and sometimes the tides of life, right? Now, I don't believe in coincidence. I believe we're beings of free choice and free will. But you will always have those down moments and those high moments. Now, in the low moments, when I got fat, depressed, I realized how easy it is just to cave into nihilism, that it's just easy to cave into what kids call these days taking the black pill, which is kind of botted. Because you're just falling into Gnostic ideology, and then there's no emotion attached to it, and then everything just becomes meaningless, right? And you kind of have fallen prey to the system, because in a sense that's what we created, a nihilistic machine, through the form of technocracy and through the mediums, right, which we pick up information and are given information. And if we don't curate ourselves in terms of what we're feeding our minds, then we are just out there in the midst of the ether, being bombarded by a bunch of not random videos that go shaping your ideologies, that go shaping the way you perceive reality, right? Now we think that being overweight, super fat, morbidly obese is normal, it's fine, accept our bodies, right? Why can't we accept our bodies like the original prototype? Lean machines, full of energy. That's what we should embrace, right? But it's all being done intentionally. So becoming an anomaly, in my opinion, should be the norm. It should go back to anomalies aren't even that much of an anomaly because the whole system in of itself is healthy. Is it possible? I have hope. I feel like 2020 was a great year to give us awareness of what's behind the curtains, per se, and how we've all kind of succumbed to this system, this ideology, fast food, fast pleasure, convenience. But it's all perpetuated by a system, by a machine. And most of those players don't want to be known. But we have to do things differently. And I've had many whys, and my whys have come and gone and shifted and molded. But I can tell you, when I was overweight, when I was honestly at rock bottom in many aspects. It wasn't only physical, spiritual, mental. It's a long story, but it's a great story. Maybe for another time. But it was realizing I didn't want to be a pawn of the system also. I didn't want to succumb and kind of in a way go out that way, right? Especially that's not how I used to think and believe and aspire to be when I was young. What happened in the midst of my journey? What ideologies did I succumb to? What made me shift my perspective? And these are all things that should be pondered on, because if you can learn from your mistakes, you can craft and mold the reality for the future to come. And I realized, hey, there's a lot of stuff I knew with fitness, health, etc. And there's a lot I didn't know and I had to learn. But I had to do things different. And it wasn't about becoming an anomaly. That's just a title, a thing that people just give you or is given or taken by whomever. It honestly doesn't even matter. It's just a word. But words do have meaning and they're powerful. And my hope and my aspiration and what I'm working towards is for that not to just be the case, right? Like, not 1% or 5% of people walking around with a six-pack. And I'm not talking about six-pack just to flaunt a six-pack. It's like, you're healthy, you're lean, you've shifted your body. How cool would it be if we could reverse the pendulum? Now, because of all the awareness, right, and we are all hyper-connected, we've gotten a lot more information. And then misinformation as well, which is a chaos of noise, right? And that's why I created my community. It's a private community, it's uncensored, and I drop all my data sets, workout routines. I'm constantly updating new programs, and it's also gamified in a very cool way. So if you like anime, if you don't like anime, I would still highly recommend checking it out for a few months and see if you like it and you want to stay. If not, you can bounce, bro. That being said, Anime Shreds community. We've already had thousands of people that have decided to walk this journey, right? Becoming anomalies, becoming different. It entails a lot of things, but having a community around you, especially when you're down, especially when you're trying to get inspiration and information from different people and it feels like all scattered, right? Scattered information leads to stagnation. You ideally, in my opinion, if you really want to thrive fast, you need blueprints, things that have already worked in the past for people, right? And I'm not saying I'm perfect by no means. In fact, I'm working at it every day. But I can tell you, I went from becoming overweight, right, stiff, lethargic, unmotivated, to within 2 to 3 months, I became absolutely shredded. It's like 3 to 4 months. Yeah, and then the rest is kind of history, right? But the process, the methodologies to acquire such physique transcended just the physical, right? There's a lot of mental cues, mental things that you have to grasp and understand and internalize for you to make this journey, this transition. And it only takes 44 days, in my opinion, to get started, to get the ball rolling, to start embracing a new lifestyle and ideology. So if you're interested in transforming your life, I highly recommend checking it out. I'll leave it in the link below, the Anime Shreds community. But back to becoming an anomaly, right? Back to standing out from the crowd. You have to do things differently. 90% of people, right, is doing things a certain way. And the blueprint, the outcome is there. Why would you do the same thing? The blueprint's there. The issue is we really sometimes don't even focus on the outcome, right, as things are going to play out. And a great example of this can be being young, full of vitality, and squandering the opportunity, but becoming an anomaly, doing things differently, right? Thinking different than the rest of the crowd. The issue is we don't see the outcome, like how life is going to play out. And we squander our youth, right? We take it for granted. We think that we have certain aspirations or certain problems that aren't the ones you really should be focusing on, right? And one of the things I'm talking about is kind of like squandering your life, your health to pursue things, right? To pursue money, to pursue filling your lust in terms of getting laid. Yeah, messing around and having a good time, quote unquote. The issue becomes the blueprint and the pattern is there, and it's a sad one. The issue is it's enticing, it feels good, right? And we don't see how things play out in days to come. So in my opinion, if you're watching this video and you are young, I highly encourage you to become an anomaly, right? This doesn't mean just become shredded and absolutely dialed. become detached from everything. Don't become part of the system. Be different. You don't have to be sleeping around, dating around. In fact, that can be very detrimental. The fast, convenient lifestyle, fast food, fast indulgences, fast dopamine with our phone. These are things that you're going to have to master, and these are things that you're going to have to dispose of, get rid of, substitute for something else. Because that's when you actually start changing, and it's an internal change. And the external change of working out and of the biohacking protocols and all that, it's great. But I can't tell you how many times we search in certain places for the right things, but it's the wrong places to search in. I see a lot of people dealing with spiritual issues, a lot of people dealing with mental issues, a lot of people dealing with emotional baggages, right? And kind of, I'm going to go to biohacking because it's going to fix it all. Or I'm going to go to healthy lifestyle because it's going to fix it all. It's going to like help with a lot of things, but it's not going to fix everything. But it's going to definitely help out. For example, potentiation of inflammation can lead to one's downfall. If you're feeling depressed, if you start doing drugs, if you start doing alcohol, if you start doing certain foods, right, that have gluten, that have glyphosate, which disrupts and basically kills your gut, and then you start having leaky gut, and then that starts affecting your brain, and you start getting brain fog, and then you start doing medicines, and then you start hearing voices, and things become more amplified. You're doing a lot of wrong things at the wrong time, searching for an answer. And there's beautiful studies with diet and how it can help alleviate a lot of those symptoms, right? People that have dementia, people that have schizophrenia, people that have bipolar disorder, start reducing the medicine, but also start getting on a ketogenic diet, getting rid of all grains, gluten, inflammation. And there's a lot of tests now, people coming back a month later, 2 months later, feeling completely different, feeling as they're almost healed, right, in a sense. But those issues also have to be processed spiritually, right? So it's not only the physical, but the physical plays a huge role, because leaky gut, and then a bad diet with high levels of processed ingredients, and the process itself of the food we call, right? So it's beautiful to see things like the ketogenic diet helping a lot of people that are suffering of these quote-unquote symptoms, right? Because they're all real to the person. So we have to become an anomaly. It's like you have to reset. You have to kind of begin with the student's mindset and realize perhaps I'm not operating in the most ideal way. And it's something that you have to go checking daily, ideally. But if not, at least weekly or monthly. What am I doing wrong? How am I being like everybody else? Am I falling for the same traps of convenience, of entertainment, not pursuing purpose, right? Not pursuing virtue, pursuing what's easy. That's 95% of people. And the issue becomes those bad habits then transfer to other areas of life. You're not going to become disciplined spiritually. You're not going to become disciplined physically, because you're not worth saving, or you're not worth working on, or you're not worth investing in. It's all meaningless. You took the nihilistic pill. Of course, nothing's going to work. Of course, everything's going to feel black, gray. You can eat the most delicious food and it has no flavor, right? So I encourage you to start rethinking things. Perhaps start asking for more clarity in terms of perception, how you see the world. These are all things that are going to help you on your journey, right? Because this is a physical journey, but it's also a mental journey. It's also a spiritual journey. And all of them work together synergistically. And if one is weak, there's a high probability it's going to put pressure on the other aspects of, or the other pillars, right? And eventually you're going to cave in. So that's the dojo anime shreds. We cover a lot. Like, we're going to talk about biohacking protocols. We're going to talk about, biohacking basics. You got the way of the builder, put on muscle mass, the way of vitality. You got the potions. You got the workout ab routines. We got a lot of stuff in there, right? But we also have to address other aspects and other issues that most people want to neglect. And those are also as important, if not more. But now we're becoming hyper-connected through social media. So if you've watched this video so far, definitely it tells me that you at least have some attention span, right? Because everything it's intentionally done, right? And if you cave into it as a young kid, right, the dopamine feed, scroll, you have to scroll every few seconds. That's going to translate into every area of your life, your focus, your discipline, you working out, not getting distracted. Like, these are all things you're going to have to master. And it's the constantly process of mastering it, right? But I can tell you there is hope at the end of the tunnel. You just have to do things differently. And you have to come with a deeper why, a deeper understanding. But that comes from viewing the world differently, thinking differently. And the truth is, it's important, right? Because if you don't start practicing and harnessing and mastering these skills in your youth, right, then you're going to have years and years of bad programming, physically with sedentary lifestyle, not taking care of your body, not flushing out the toxins properly, and just having an accumulative waste, a toxic waste, right, that then leads to cancer. And you had the resources, the knowledge available if you actually sought it to not have this outcome. Same with the spiritual, same with the emotional. You have to start building at a young age, building these habits. And the truth is, you're going to fall. And when you fall, you're going to get rid of a lot of the progress. But you got to learn from it. You got to pick up yourself again and keep walking, right? And learning from the mistakes. But ironically, you become an anomaly by not being an anomaly, right? Like, not seeking the title, be different, this and that. You're like, no, I don't want to be like the rest. Look how life has played out, and it's only going to get worse for some people, and it's only going to get better for other people. The question is, are you going to open your eyes? And then once you open your eyes and you start seeing things differently, are you willing to have a student's mindset and a student's attitude and disposition towards learning, right? Because you can't really learn if you think you know it all. And I've been there myself, and I still keep catching myself in that constant process. You have to have a student's mindset, and this is like till the day you hit the earth. Student's mindset. Approaching things with humility and disposition. Most people do pride. Like, you gotta pride, bro. Pompous, showing off. Right? Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe we have blueprints for those who became such ways, right? Full of pride, full of ego. That's a video in and of itself. But you have to be different. And you become different by doing different things. It's very simple and it's very subtle, but when you start really realizing the complexity of where we're at, right? In terms of misinformation that we've basically thought was good information, but it's just been lies perpetuated by us via propaganda, and because people have certain agendas like don't eat healthy fats, right? Because they're bad for you, going to make you fat, cholesterol, etc. Do skim milk, skim products, and then leads to lactose intolerance, which leads to another problem. But this is what they taught me. Oh, okay. And that's just the food, and we can go on different rabbit trails. But it's that awareness I'm trying to bring to you, right? That, bro, if I want to be an anomaly, it's going to be a journey, it's going to be different. They're going to make fun of you. That's the truth. People are going to hate on you. That's the truth. But the truth is, regardless, it's always going to happen as well. And that's the irony, right? If you're fat, they're going to blame you. If you're fat, they're going to make fun of you. Both sides of the spectrum. Please conform to us. Please conform with the group mentality. Be one of us. Succumb to the pleasure, succumb to the temptation. Don't be different. Oh, you're different? Oh, you're trying to show off? Right? And they start throwing the labels, the accusations. Honestly, the judgment. But welcome it. Look at it. You can make fun of it internally because you realize perhaps how stupid it is. And ideally, just let it go. And then once in a while, you can choose your battles. And if you want to diss somebody, you can diss somebody. But that's not the objective either. The objective is personal growth. The objective is pursuing a better end, right? How's their life going to play out in the next 30 years, 40 years? And how is your life going to play out if you decide to do things differently? So that's my encouragement to you, right? Become an anomaly. in every aspect of your life become different. And the truth is, it goes compounding day by day by day. Bad decisions become more ingrained. Good decisions can wipe out the bad decisions, and you basically substitute it for something that's positive and realize that every day is another day in the arena. Every day is another fight in of itself. But my encouragement to you is perception is strong, right? And sight is weak. Start perceiving more. Start perceiving things differently. And perhaps you'll reap a different reward. May the Creator favor you. Peace and grace.